Hey everybody, this is Rustyn with the Examiner. With us tonight, Logan Raskin of the Raskins. How are you doing, brother?
Doing real good, man. We're actually, right now, we're in Chicago on our 8th show of the Wyland Tour. And it's been going incredible, man. We just had a couple of shows in Texas and in Arkansas, and you know, the tour has been going incredible. And tonight we're in Arlington, and we're looking forward to tomorrow night's show at the Club Home.
Yeah, you guys have what? You're off tonight, and you have 2 more shows to wrap up the tour?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. And then we head back to Hollywood, California for about a week and a half, just to kind of rest up, and then we start up again I think our first show is May 23rd, actually in Hollywood, California at the Viper Room, and that's going to be, we have an album coming out May 13th, but we're using that night as our record release party. So we're going to do a bunch of giveaways that night, give out some free shirts, some free albums, and then our tour starts, and we have about 20-plus shows we're going to be doing with the band Saving Abel, so we're excited about that. And then we found out last week we got asked to do the Motley Crue Alice Cooper tour. So we're pretty ecstatic about that. We're looking at about 17 shows during the summer, and then we'll probably do another dozen shows with Motley Crue and Alice Cooper in October, leading up to the Madison Square Garden date in New York, which, needless to say, is pretty exciting for us New York City boys.
Right, taking you all back home where it began. So, boy,
yeah, man.
I don't even have to ask you half my questions. You're already hitting most of it for me. So, what's the experience been like so far touring with a veteran like Scott Weiland?
Well, I mean, look, here's a guy that is a big influence for my brother and I. I mean, not only just performing, but just, his musicality, his music songwriting, the body of work that he's done over the years has been pretty incredible, not only just with Stone Temple Pilots, but with Velvet Revolver and even his solo stuff. I mean, needless to say, we're both big fans of his. So, when the opportunity came for us, we jumped all over it, for my brother and myself and our label and our whole team. It was pretty much a no-brainer. And you know what? It's been a great tour. Their whole crew has been really gracious to us. Their band is, they're really cool guys. They're actually, they're all from Hollywood, California. So we actually are we kind of knew some of them before the tour started, which was really cool. But the shows have been incredible. It's amazing. opening up for a guy like that, and then getting a chance to watch his shows every night. You definitely can learn a lot. But we're growing in leaps and bounds, our band, and we're excited about what we're doing now and the future coming up. And this tour has just been an incredible experience overall for us. And we're really excited about how things have been going. And like I said, I can't wait to see how the rest of the summer turns out for us.
Well, this is going to be a nice mix, too. You do the Scott thing, you do a little bit of a solo thing, you do Saving Abel, and then, of course, the massive arena tour with Motley and Alice. That's just a phenomenal thing to do. So, and I want to talk about the band as itself in a moment, but let's just talk about you and your brother for a second. Tell us a little bit about you guys and where your passion for music started, because I think you guys sort of came from that showbiz background growing up in New York with your father and your
mother. It all stems from our parents. We grew up in a musical family, born and raised in New York City. My father was a huge Broadway star. He had all the lead roles in all the major Broadway shows: Oklahoma, South Pacific, Damn Yankees, Annie Get Your Gun, West Side Story. He was in all of them. So I grew up watching my father on Broadway, and not only on Broadway, but my dad used to travel a lot. He used to have an orchestra that he used to travel with and do all the show tunes and stuff. He used to go up to the mountains and the Catskills and Concord Hotel or wherever, and he'd do like these 1-2 nights up in those hotels. So I would always go watch my dad perform and stuff like that. And my mom was a big jazz singer, singing around New York all the time. And so, growing up with that, it was pretty much inevitable that the two of us were gonna end up in music. We we were taught music at a young age. My parents stuck a piano in our bedroom, but actually that was by our request, because one of the first concerts my parents ever took us to was, I was probably about 6 years old. They took us to see Ray Charles play. I think it was in Eisenhower Park out towards Long Island. Yeah, I mean, that for me, to see Ray Charles play up close, I mean, we were right in the front and watch him play piano and sing. I was like, Mom, you got to get us the piano. She was like, absolutely. You know, she stuck a piano in our bedroom. I had a piano in my bedroom for 15 years after that. All our early compositions were all on piano. And then eventually we transferred over to acoustic guitar because you can't travel with the piano, you know. But, I mean, a lot of our influences not only came from our parents and the music that they listened to, you know, such as like Frank Sinatra and Sarah Vaughan and Nat King Cole and Barbra Streisand and all those show tunes and all that stuff. Roger and I were running around New York City, and we got to experience that whole vibe. I mean, you know, with everything that was going on in New York, and our influences really came from that Lower East Side scene, you know, with the Stooges and Iggy Pop and the Ramones and Blondie and Talking Heads, you know, and the Velvet Underground, the Plasmatics. I mean, it just goes on and on. But we're also my brother and I are influenced by, you know, bands such as like Steely Dan and Simon and Garfunkel and Billy Joel. And so you hear a lot of that dynamic on this new record for both of us. And it was important for us to bring out that wide scale of our influences, which we were raised with. And I think we accomplished that with this album. And we're very proud of that. You know, I mean, we didn't want to just stick to one genre of rock music. We wanted to try to get a lot of diversity inside the album. And I believe we've done that, and it really kind of shows a lot of our influential styles growing up when we were younger, you know?
Yeah, you tapped into a lot of that stuff, and you can hear the various influences, everything. And I think the nice thing for you guys, too, is not only did you grow up with the musicality, but with the showbiz background, you grew up with that showmanship thing, too, which has got to translate well to stage when you guys performed.
You know, and that was the one thing my dad was. He was a showman. My dad had a very powerful voice, but I cannot, you know, I mean, I thought my dad was everything. He was everything to both of us. But the one thing that stood out to me was how he was able to entertain a crowd and how the crowd responded to that. And that definitely influenced me hugely, especially me being a front man. I learned a lot from that. You know, I mean, I have a really good voice. I have a strong voice. My father had a really good voice and a strong voice, but our strengths were more so in the ability to entertain a crowd. And I take pride in that. You know, I don't go around saying I have the greatest voice in the world. I don't go around saying we have the greatest music in the world. But it's passionate. We take our time developing it. I believe in it strongly. I think it's really, really good. And I think our live shows are killer. And I think once you get the album, people are going to really, really love the album. But unless you see us live, you're not going to really fully understand what the Raskins are all about. And that's why I'm having the time of my life with these live shows, because our album is not even out yet. So these are all new fans for us, and they're getting to see us for the first time, and everyone's loving it. I mean, the response has been incredible. We've been moving a lot of merch, signing a lot of posters and autographs, making a lot of new fans. It's been really incredible so far.
Absolutely. Wait till you get to do that arena tour. You're really gonna make some noise with that.
I can't even imagine. You know, in fact, I can't, Rustyn. I can't even think about it. You know, it's almost too much for me to process. Being from how we started, I mean, we really started this whole thing grassroots. You know, right from the bottom floor, man. You know, building up our local markets, building up our fan bases, and really starting from ground zero. So things are really coming together, and the train is on the tracks, moving forward, full steam ahead. But I try not to get, and Roger as well, we try not to get too far ahead of ourselves, take one show at a time, and really try to appreciate the experience as we go along here.
Right. Now, as you said, the album, the debut self-titled, comes out this coming Tuesday, the 13th.
Correct.
Let's talk about the album a little bit, because it's definitely got a sort of a pop rock punch to it, but there's a lot of other elements, very accessible and playful without coming across as trendy or stale. How did you guys approach writing for the record? Because this started out as a writing project, I believe, and I know there's been there's probably a lot of songs that got set to the side that you didn't feel necessarily fit what the debut album should be. So how did you go about that process?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. I mean, exactly right. I mean, this project did start off as a writing project. You know, my brother and I spent a few years composing music for TV and film. We did several projects, and basically that's really what we were focused on. I mean, we were just focused on composing music for a lot of these different supervisors for TV and film, and doing music placement and stuff like that. And we were doing quite well with that for some time. But what started happening was we were receiving an overwhelming amount of emails from, I guess you can call them fans of the music, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And, it just got to a point where I think the writing was on the wall for both of us, where, people were just asking, not only where can we buy the music, but where do you guys ever play out live? So it just got to a point where we decided, I think it's time that we put the band together. And we did that. We surrounded ourselves with some of the best musicians around town, and we put together this really strong band. And, we started writing a lot more music that I thought I wanted to really represent us as we were going through that process. And we did. We went into the studio. We really took our time with it. It took at least a year. Probably recorded about 50-plus songs, ended up with 12 songs that I thought represented us the best for this first record. And I'm really happy with the result. It was a great process that we went through, the writing process. We were able to take our time, which was great. The way our labels are set up and the way our team is set up, we were able to do that, which I'm proud about and was extremely ecstatic about. It was nothing I wanted to rush. And I'm happy with the product. I mean, we did it all ourselves. We recorded it all ourselves. I wanted to record it myself. I just wanted to have a canvas where we can express ourselves. I felt like we were able to do that. I felt like we were able to tell the messages and the stories that we wanted to tell on this first record. So the process was a very exciting one. It was a very fulfilling one. And now we're gonna tour the heck out of it. The next year and a half, that's all we're gonna do is tour, and really try to get that momentum and build up this fan base even more and get our music out there to as many people as possible. And then when that's done, I can't wait to get and record the second record.
Well, let's talk. We don't have time, obviously, to talk about all the songs, but let's talk about 2 or 3 of the tracks on the album. The first single, We Had It All. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, well, it was tricky to try to decide on what was going to be the initial single release. But Roger and I actually decided to go with the single We Had It All because basically it's a song just written about the trials and tribulations we went through in the music industry and, trying to get ourselves to a point where we can do music full time. And it was a long road for us, and we realized that the way the music industry is now, it gives the musician so much more control than it used to be 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, the way the internet is with YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, with iTunes. I mean, basically, and with the way music is recorded nowadays, with Pro Tools and Pro Logic and all that. I mean, basically, Roger and I have a studio in New York, a recording studio set up there, and one in Hollywood, California. We were basically able to do it all on our own. And we realized that we had it all. We didn't have to go through the whole straining process of shopping and being turned down by this label or that label to say that you're no good or, and we went through that. And it wasn't an easy process for us. But like I said, the way the industry is now, we were able to do everything on our own. We didn't have to answer to anybody. We were our own bosses. We had complete creative control over everything we wanted to do, and that's exactly what this song is about. We had it all. We never had to travel far outside of our home to try to get further along in the music industry. It was all right there at our fingertips. And it's a beautiful time for music for the artists, not for the major labels. The major labels are pulling their hair out.
Right.
But for all these up-and-coming and small artists that are trying to establish themselves, it's an amazing time for music. And if they're not lazy, they can do it all on their own, man. They don't need anyone. Just educate themselves a little bit about the industry, and it's all right there. And that's exactly what the two of us did. And that's exactly when we started having our most success, and it's happening for us right now. That's really what that song is about. And that's why I felt it was such an important song for us to be as the initial release for us.
Well, and all the songs on the debut feel radio-friendly to an extent, so perhaps it's appropriate that the second single will be on the radio. Tell us about that track, because it's definitely a bit of addictive ear candy.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much exactly just that. I mean, we the song is very anthem-esque. It's very pop-friendly. It's very radio-friendly. The song, and to us, is written about what I think every musician dreams about, which is that first time and you hear your music on the radio. And I think it's a very memorable moment in any musician's life. First time. I don't care who you are as a musician. If you're Mick Jagger or if you're just some young local upstarting musician from Wichita, Kansas. That first time you hear your song on the radio, it's a very meaningful moment, and I'll never forget the first time Roger and I heard our music on the radio. It was an important point and moment in our life, and it's one that I'll never forget. And how can I not write about that? It was such an important moment for us. So we wrote about it. That's exactly what that song is about. And I think it's a very, very pop-friendly song. I think a lot of people are going to dig it, all ages. And that's going to be our second release for sure, and I'm excited about that.
Now, for songwriters, every song is personal. But are there one or two on this album that maybe resonate with you more than the others?
I mean, look, we're writing about a lot of personal stuff. They all have a personal meaning to me, and they all definitely resonate, to some point. That's a good question. I mean, I can go through every song on this record, and they all mean something important to me.
Right.
We have a song called "Need Another Hero," growing up in New York City, I've seen a lot of things, going to school on the trains at a very young age, and you see a lot of things, how the city was back in the 80s and how it's changed a lot. But I remember I was on the subway going to school, and I saw there was a gang called the Guardian Angels, and these guys used to run around New York City, protecting people.
Right.
They were like crime fighters, these guys, and they used to wear these red berets, and they used to do all the citizens' arrests if they would see anything go on. And I remember seeing these guys thinking like, wow, man, that to me is so cool. These guys don't get paid anything, and they're actually a gang of guys that are like crime stoppers. And to me, I always thought that was, I never forgot that. And how important I just always thought that, we need more heroes in our inner cities like that. And that was another point in my life that was very, very important. And it was just another thing that I wanted to write about. So, a lot of these songs that, they're just about things that really struck home with my brother and I, and we just felt that there were things that we wanted to write about.
Now, you alluded to this earlier. The Raskins have emerged in an era unlike that of the bands we grew up on, the era of social media and digital downloads and, of course, Pro Tools and stuff. How important is it to have a site like Facebook? How much has that impacted you, those sort of things? Because you've already got like 143,000 fans on there. Like you said, the album's not even out yet.
Let me tell you how important it is. It's everything. It's everything. The industry has changed 100%. We're in a different day. We're in a different era. But the power of the Internet, I don't even know how to put it into words. It's the most powerful thing we have right now. And to be able to utilize that to reach people. I mean, we built our fan base strictly off of the internet. Yeah, we played certain shows and we built up our local fan bases, but my brother and I tried to make ourselves very accessible. And if one person would message me on Facebook or email us or whatever, I would reach back to them and really appreciate them reaching out to us. And that one fan turned into 3 fans. And that 3 fans turned into 10 fans. And the 10 fans turned into 100 fans. And it was just a way to reach more people. I mean, look, we have a Ustream account. I can do shows anywhere in the world, stream the show live. I can announce it on Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever. And these kids don't even have to leave their couch, and they can see a Raskins concert live. And it's such a powerful tool to be able to tap into that because, you know, I have fans in India. I have fans in South America. I have fans in Asia. I have fans in Australia. I have fans in Italy. And what a powerful tool to be able to reach. You can reach all corners of the earth, not just the United States, but, I mean, everywhere. And I take full advantage of that, and so does my brother Roger. And it's very exciting to us. And I didn't always do that. We didn't always do that. It was a learning curve. It was a learning process. But I realized the power of that, and that's really what we focused on. I mean, I was just interested in just reaching people, reaching out to people, building the buzz about the Raskins. And I wanted to do it before the album ever even came out. It was important to me. And we did that. I mean, we shot all our videos last year, you know, and I wanted to put our first video and second video up, put some lyric videos up there, you know, get people excited about what we were about to do. And it took, you know, and my whole band, they all work the internet. They all work their fan bases. They all work the Raskins fan bases. Anyone that messages us, we message them right back. And our fans really appreciate that, and it's paid off for us and for them. We make ourselves very accessible, and it's exciting for us, and it's shown in our numbers, and I think our fans really appreciate that.
Absolutely. So last thing before we get out of here, give a little something to the fans, let them learn a little bit something about you. Give us 3 albums that changed your life.
Well, look, I'm going to give you let's put it this way. I'm going to give you the first 3 albums I ever bought. And honestly, those albums did change my life. You know, I mean, it's probably when I got into music the heaviest. I mean, let's start this. I mean, the first vinyl record I ever bought was Kiss Alive.
Yes.
Which, for me, was just a life-changing experience, you know. The second album I ever bought was Foreigner Double Vision, which, you know, was just a huge record for me. And the third was Queen, News of the World. So, I mean, like, those are the first albums that I bought. I mean, if you want to talk albums, I mean, I can go on and on. But I remember those are the first 3 vinyls that I bought. They had a huge impact on me. I mean, I was a huge fan of Freddie Mercury. You know, I was a huge fan of Lou Gramm. And I was a huge fan of Kiss. I mean, you know, you're talking about great voices, great entertainers. And, yeah, there you go. 3 right there.
Hey, they were all among my first dozen albums as well, so I'm right there with you. So, Logan, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I've heard the debut.
My pleasure, Rustyn.
Oh, yeah, I've heard the debut album. It's fantastic. I look forward to everybody else getting a chance to jam it in their ears this coming week. You guys be safe on the road, and I look forward to getting a chance to catch you live when you hit my neck of the woods at some point.
Thank you so much, Rustyn. I really appreciate you taking the time, man. Looking forward to hanging out.
No problem. Take care, brother.